Welcome to Learn English with Stories 365. Today we'll improve your English through an unforgettable true story. Just give me a few minutes and I promise you won't forget it. Because this story is not just about science or electricity. It's about loneliness, rejection, and silent dreams. It's about a man who gave light to the world and died alone in the dark. Have you ever heard of Nikola Tesla? Maybe you know the name. Maybe you've seen it on a car. But the truth is far more powerful. He dreamed of giving free energy to every person on Earth. He saw visions in his mind. He built machines that no one believed could work. And he changed the world. But in the end, the world forgot him. Tesla was not just a genius. He was a man with a heart full of fire and a life full of storms. He once stood in front of kings and presidents, and later he begged for bread in old hotel rooms. But even when the world turned its back, he never stopped dreaming. This is the story of Nikola Tesla, the man who lit the world and died alone. And if you listen carefully, dear learner, this is not just his story. It's also a mirror, a lesson, a light for you too. Because sometimes the most brilliant lights shine brightest in silence. Now sit back, open your heart, and feel every word. Let's begin. Part 1. The Last Room. Tesla in the Shadows, New York City. Winter, 1942. Outside the city blinks, with lights, signs, glowing cars, racing, people laughing. But inside room 3327 of the Hotel New Yorker, everything is still, silent, cold. A tall, thin man stands by the window, staring at the sky. His name is Nikola Tesla. He is 86 years old. His coat is worn. His shoes are cracked. His fingers tremble as he holds a small piece of stale bread. He doesn't eat much these days. He doesn't speak to many people either. Most don't even remember his name. The hotel staff knows him as that strange old man on the 33rd floor. Some say he's crazy. Some say he talks to himself. Some say he talks to pigeons. But once, he was a legend. Every day, Tesla wakes at 3:00 a.m. He works in his mind solving equations, writing ideas on scrap paper. He never writes too much. He's afraid someone will steal his work. He leaves his room only once a day, at exactly 5:00 p.m. That's when he walks to Bryant Park. Not to meet a friend, not to see people, but to wait for one special pigeon. She is white. Pure white. Her feathers are soft like snow. She flies to him every evening, lands gently on his shoulder. Tesla smiles. He feeds her seeds, speaks softly in Serbian. "You are the light of my life," he whispers. One day, a young hotel clerk asks him, "Mr. Tesla, why do you care so much about a bird?" Tesla replies without turning, "Because she's the only one who comes back." No reporters wait for him now. No crowds. No applause. But inside his mind, the inventions still spin. The world may have moved on, but Tesla has not. He is still chasing the same dream, the dream of energy, freedom, light. His room is simple: a bed, a chair, a stack of notebooks locked in a metal trunk. No radio, no phone, just silence. And memories. Tesla is not bitter, but he is tired. Very tired. Once he dined with kings. Now he skips dinner to save money. He gave the world electricity radio, the foundations of wireless communication. And now he can't even pay his hotel bill. But still every night he waits by that window. For the bird. For the one thing that still makes him feel alive. He doesn't chase fame. He doesn't chase fortune. He chases something else: connection. A soft heartbeat in a cold, mechanical world. And when the bird comes, everything else disappears. The pain, the hunger, the rejection, all gone. Because for a few minutes each day, the man who lit the world is no longer alone. But how did it come to this? How did the greatest inventor of the modern age end up in a small hotel room whispering to a bird? That answer lies in a love story. Not between two people, but between a man and an idea. Between a dreamer and the dream that almost destroyed him. Part 2. The White Pigeon, His Only Love. She was not just any bird. She was white like moonlight. Her eyes sparkled with a strange intelligence. She didn't just fly. She glided. Graceful, silent. She came to him every evening at exactly 5 o'clock, as if she could hear the ticking of his heart. Nikola Tesla didn't have a wife. He never had children. But in his final years, he had her. "I have loved that pigeon," he once said, "as a man loves a woman." The world laughed. Reporters mocked him. Scientists called him mad. But they didn't understand. Tesla didn't love things the way most people did. He didn't need crowds or comfort. He needed beauty. He needed truth. And in that pigeon, he saw both. He fed her every day. Not just scraps, but the best seeds he could buy. Sometimes, when he was too weak to walk to the park, he asked hotel staff to open the window just in case she came. And she did. Always. One evening, Tesla sat by the window holding a napkin filled with corn. The wind howled outside. Rain touched the glass. "She will not come today," said the maid, shaking her head. "She will," Tesla whispered. A minute later she appeared, wet, tired, but there. She flew through the window and landed on his arm. Tesla's face lit up. "You see," he said softly. She never forgets. But the day came when everything changed. It was winter. Snow covered the city in white silence. Tesla waited at the window. 5 o'clock. Then 6. Then 7. No bird. No wings in the sky. His hands trembled. He didn't eat that night. The next day she returned, but something was wrong. Her wings moved slower. Her eyes were dim. She rested in his lap, and Tesla knew. The end was near. Tears filled his eyes. "She looked at me," he later told a friend, "and I knew she was dying." Then something strange happened. A light, pure, and bright came from her eyes. It was not of this earth. At that moment, I felt her soul leave, and with it, the light of my life. He didn't eat for days after that. He locked himself in his room. He spoke to no one. Even the hotel staff grew worried. Something had broken. You see, Tesla had lived his entire life with his mind in the clouds. He didn't chase people. He chased ideas, pure, impossible, beautiful ideas. But that pigeon, she was real. She was warm. She was the one living thing that reminded him he was still human. He believed in signs, in energy, in souls that could not be explained. When she died, Tesla didn't just lose a bird. He lost his last connection to love, to meaning, to life. No more walks to the park. No more soft greetings in Serbian. No more whispers by the window. Just silence. In the end, this was not just a story about a man and a pigeon. It was about loneliness, about a heart too big for this world, about genius that no one understood, and about how even the brightest minds still long for something simple, a friend who shows up every day no matter what. Tesla lit cities. He moved lightning. He dreamed of changing the world. But in the end, what mattered most to him was a small white bird who loved him when no one else did. And when she was gone, so was the last spark in his soul. Part 3. The Fall. Genius turned ghost. Once Nikola Tesla was the most famous inventor in the world. Crowds filled lecture halls to hear him speak. Journalists wrote his name in bold letters. Wealthy investors lined up to work with him. He lit up the 1893 World's Fair in Chicago with thousands of electric lights. People called him a wizard, a prophet, a genius from the future. But fame fades, and the world forgets fast. By the 1930s, Tesla had become a ghost. He walked the streets of New York alone, tall and thin, wearing the same old coat. His shoes had holes. His hands shook from age. Most people passed him without a second look. The few who recognized him said, "Isn't that Tesla? I thought he was dead already." He wasn't. Not yet. But he was broken by time, by betrayal, and by a world that no longer believed in dreams. Tesla spent his last years moving between cheap hotels. He owed money everywhere. Hotel managers grew tired of his promises. "My patents are worth millions," he would say. But the money never came. He skipped meals. He refused help. He trusted no one. Once a maid offered him soup. Tesla looked at her and said, "I do not eat the food of pity." Each year on his birthday, he gave a press conference. But no one came for his inventions anymore. They came for the headlines. Tesla talks to Martians. Tesla claims death ray can destroy planets. The same newspapers that once praised him now laughed at him. Still he spoke with passion. Still he believed. But behind the smile was pain. He had once been friends with giants Thomas Edison, Mark Twain, George Westinghouse. Now they were gone. Or worse, they had turned against him. He had won the war of currents against Edison. But Edison had died a hero. Tesla had become a joke. And Westinghouse, the man who once funded Tesla's work, had left him behind too. When the money ran dry, so did the friendships. Tesla trusted the world. He gave away his patents. He refused to patent many inventions because he wanted them to be free for all. But the world did not thank him. It moved on without him. People used his ideas, but they forgot his name. He watched as others grew rich from his genius. Radios, remote controls, fluorescent lights, wireless communication, all born from his mind. But he lived in darkness. One day an old friend asked him, "Why don't you fight for your legacy? You deserve credit." Tesla shook his head and said quietly, "The future will understand." He believed that. Deep down, he truly believed that one day, someone would remember. He spent his days feeding pigeons, his nights writing equations no one would read, and his dreams, they still burned. But they had no place to go. He became a man the world could not place. Too advanced for his time, too strange for comfort, too honest for business, too lonely for love. And slowly the light dimmed. He once lit entire cities. But in the end, his own hotel room flickered with only a single bulb, paid for by the kindness of a few scientists who hadn't forgotten. Nikola Tesla didn't die in one day. He faded little by little. With each broken promise, each stolen idea, each friend who disappeared. They say he was mad, but maybe the world just wasn't ready for his kind of genius. He gave us light, and we left him in the dark. Part 4. The Dream That Died. Wardenclyffe and the Betrayal. There was one dream that Nikola Tesla carried deeper than all the others. Bigger than the light bulb. Bigger than motors. Bigger than anything Edison or any other inventor could imagine. It was the dream of free energy for the world. Not cheap energy, not lower bills. Free for everyone, forever. He believed that the earth itself was a giant conductor. That electricity flowed through the ground and the sky, and that with the right technology, he could pull power straight from the air. No wires, no pollution, no limits. People called it crazy. But Tesla wasn't like other men. He didn't just dream it. He could see it. He could feel it. He had already built machines that lit bulbs without touching them. He had sent energy across a room wirelessly. And so he began to build his greatest invention, Wardenclyffe Tower. It was 1901. Tesla bought land in Shoreham, New York, far from the noise of the city. On that land, he raised a giant tower 57 meters high, with a steel dome and deep underground tunnels. The tower looked like something from the future. People passing by asked, "What is it for?" Tesla smiled and said, "To send electricity through the sky." He called it the World Wireless System. His vision, a planet connected by invisible power. Imagine it lights telegraphs, even phones powered from a single tower. No wires, no fuel, no bills. And at first it seemed possible. Because Tesla had a powerful backer, J.P. Morgan, the richest banker in America. Morgan gave Tesla $150,000, a huge amount at the time. He said, "Build your wireless tower." Tesla agreed. But he didn't tell Morgan the whole plan. Morgan thought he was funding a new radio system to compete with Marconi. Tesla was planning to end the entire energy industry. That was a mistake. When Morgan found out Tesla wanted to make electricity free, he asked one question: where do we put the meter? There was no meter, no payment, no profit. Tesla said, "This is for humanity." Morgan said, "Then I'm out." He cut off all funding, and worse, he warned other investors, "Don't give that man a single dollar." Tesla tried everything. He wrote letters, begged friends, sold his patents, but no one helped. The banks said no. The government said no. The newspapers called him a fallen genius. The tower stood half-finished, silent, like a giant skeleton reaching for a sky that would never answer. One night, Tesla walked to the base of the tower. He placed his hand on the steel and whispered, "I tried." That same year, Marconi used Tesla's stolen patents to send the first transatlantic radio signal. He won the glory. He won the Nobel Prize. Tesla won nothing. And in 1917, the final blow came. The U.S. government, afraid the tower could be used by enemy spies during World War I, ordered it destroyed. They came with tools and machines. They tore it down piece by piece. The dream was over. "They didn't just destroy my tower," Tesla said. "They destroyed my life's work." He never recovered. Not emotionally, not financially. The dream that had once burned so brightly was now ashes under his feet. But here's the most heartbreaking part. Tesla wasn't wrong. Modern science has proven that wireless power is possible. We use parts of it today in phone chargers and electric toothbrushes, satellites, spacecraft. Tesla had seen it all, decades before anyone else. But he was too early, too bold, too good. And the world wasn't ready. He didn't want to get rich. He wanted to make life better, not just for one country, for every human being. But the world asked, "Where is the profit?" And Tesla answered, "There is none, only progress." They laughed. They walked away. And so the man who tried to give us energy from the sky ended up with no light in his own room. Wardenclyffe Tower was gone, but in his heart the vision still glowed, quietly, like a flame no one could see. And sometimes late at night, he would sit in bed, eyes closed, hands shaking, whispering the words no one else believed in anymore. Free energy for all. And then, silence. Part 5. Messages to the Future. The Hidden Notebooks. Even as the world forgot him, Nikola Tesla never stopped thinking, never stopped writing, never stopped dreaming. But by the 1930s and 1940s, something had changed. His ideas became darker, stranger. He no longer spoke only of energy and invention. He spoke of signals from other planets, of machines that could see into the past, of invisible weapons that could end all wars. He called it the death ray. Most people laughed. Reporters wrote silly headlines. Tesla builds death machine in hotel room. Tesla talks to aliens. But Tesla never laughed. He wrote page after page filled with numbers, symbols, and drawings no one could understand. He locked them in metal trunks. He told the hotel staff, "If anyone touches these papers, they will regret it." Some said he was losing his mind, but others weren't so sure. Because when Tesla died in January 1943, something strange happened. The very next morning, the FBI arrived at the hotel. Agents rushed to his room. They took everything: the notebooks, the blueprints, the letters, all gone. They called it national security. The public never saw those papers again. What was in them? That question still haunts scientists today. Some say it was nothing, just the last dreams of an old man. But others believe Tesla was still far ahead of his time, that inside those trunks were secrets we still haven't unlocked. One rumor claimed he had plans for a particle beam weapon, something that could destroy airplanes from miles away. Another said he discovered a new form of energy, clean, endless, and powerful. And then there were the notes about communication with space. Tesla once said, "I heard a signal, a repeating signal. It came from beyond the earth." Was it real? Was it madness? No one knows. But here's what we do know. Years later, the U.S. government declassified a few pages of Tesla's work. They were confusing, full of strange equations. But one sentence stood out: "The present is theirs. The future for which I really worked is mine." Tesla knew his time was over, but he also knew the future would come looking. Maybe he was right. Today, scientists are studying wireless power again. Engineers are designing machines based on his old patents. Visionaries speak of free energy, of limitless light, of technology that sounds a lot like Tesla. His body died in room 3327, but his mind, his ideas, they may still be waking up. You see, Tesla didn't build for now. He built for tomorrow. And maybe tomorrow is finally ready for him. Part 6. The final day, alone with the light. It was January 7th, 1943. The snow outside the Hotel New Yorker had stopped falling. The streets were quiet. The sky above Manhattan was gray and heavy. Inside room 3327, the "Do Not Disturb" sign still hung on the door. It had been there for 2 days. Nikola Tesla hadn't left his room. He hadn't answered the knocks. The maids were worried. Finally, a hotel worker opened the door. Tesla was lying in bed. His eyes were closed. His hands rested gently on his chest. The room was cold. The light bulb above his head was still on, dim, flickering softly. The man who gave light to the world had taken his last breath in the dark. No family was there, no doctors, no friends, just silence. He was 86 years old, thin as a shadow. His body weighed barely 100 pounds. He had been sick for weeks, but he never asked for help. He never called a hospital. He didn't believe in medicine. He believed in willpower, in numbers, in silence. Some say he died of heart failure. Others say it was loneliness. Maybe it was both. There were no headlines at first, no tributes, no front-page stories. Just a short notice in the corner of the paper: inventor Nikola Tesla found dead in hotel. But to the few who still believed in him, it felt like the sun had gone out. The man who dreamed of giving power to every home died in a room that barely had heat. The man who once shook hands with presidents was buried in a simple funeral with a handful of people. And the bird, his white pigeon, was gone too. She had died months earlier. He never recovered from it. He once said, "When she died, I knew my life's work was finished." After his death, the FBI took his papers. The hotel sealed his room. The world moved on. But not everyone forgot. A few young scientists kept asking questions. Students started studying his patents again. And one day, a company put his name on a car, Tesla. Now people know the name, but few know the truth. Nikola Tesla was not just an inventor. He was a man who gave everything: his money, his fame, his comfort, even his sanity, to light up the world. And when the world no longer needed him, he chose silence. But maybe he wasn't really alone. Maybe in those last hours he saw her again, that small white bird. Maybe he whispered one last idea to the sky, one last dream for the future. Because even in death, Tesla was still reaching for the light. The story of Nikola Tesla is not just a story of science. It is a story of vision, sacrifice, and silence. A man who gave everything to help others and received nothing in return. He could have been rich. He could have been famous. But he chose something greater. He chose to dream. Tesla once said, "The present is theirs. The future for which I really worked is mine." And maybe he was right. Today the world runs on the systems he created. Wireless power, electric motors, remote control, clean energy. These ideas were born in his mind long before we understood them. And even though he died alone, the world now speaks his name. But Tesla's true gift wasn't just electricity. It was hope. He showed us that one person, just one, can change the world. Even if no one believes in you. Even if you have nothing. Even if you are forgotten. And now, dear learners, I ask you this. What is your dream that no one understands yet? Maybe you're watching this from a small room, a quiet place, with no one cheering you on. But remember, so was Tesla. And still, he kept going. Maybe the world doesn't see you now, but maybe the world isn't ready yet. So keep learning, keep believing, keep building your light. Because one day the world will know your name too. This is Learn English with Stories 365. One story, one lesson, one dream at a time. Subscribe now, because tomorrow we rise together.